Hello, folks. Here we are. I had to redo this video because the sound was so terrible. So what can I tell you? Anyway, we're going to talk about tonight. I told you I was going to talk about thrusts and I was going to talk about drops and rolls. Well, I am going to do that, but I want to talk about music notation because I have so many problems with music notation. First of all, people think that you have to answer to the music notation. All that you want to get out of the music notation is what you need to do. Most people would say, oh, no, 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 Jeff, it tells me how it sounds. Well, it gives you the rhythm, it gives you a likeness of how it sounds. But like when you're reading a book in context and you read a line in the book, you're reading it as though it's being said by somebody in a context of some type. If somebody walks into a room and goes, hello, well, are they happy? Hello. Or are they mad? Hello. I mean, it makes a difference, the context. So the notes here are simply a script. That's all they are. And I'll tell you what they're a script for. They're a script for choreography. Choreography is motion. You have to pull off the page how this has to work down here. In other words, what we need to do down here. Not what notes you neatly have to play one after the other, which is the way a lot of people approach this particular topic. Wrong. We got characters here. They have rhythms, characteristic rhythms, meaning repetitive rhythms. You can see it here, kind of. So, my approach to practice is what do I need to learn to do? What am I making a habit out of? So, you have a piece here. All right, what's the first thing? We look at it. We see the G clef and the F clef. Be careful. It's not always that. Then you have a key signature, in this case, key of G. All the F's are sharped. Not interested in that right now. 4/4 time, I'm always interested in that. It's 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A moderate tempo. 1, 2, 3. And we have some triplets here, which we discussed as being pineapples. So the first thing we do want to know is that it's pineapple, pineapple, 1, 2, or 3, 4, because it is those beats. So we want to play the notes with those accents. Now, the first thing I do with kids is I write fingers in. So we're going to butcher up the score. What do I mean by butcher it up? We're going to do up here what we need to do to tell us what to do down here. And the first thing I need to do is play one of these pineapples here, followed by another pineapple here. The first note is struck. The rest is a roll. So it's a drop and a roll. So it says pedal. I'm not going to use it right now. Drop and a roll. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop and roll with the loudnesses it suggests in the with the count. Pineapple, pineapple. Now, one thing not written here is the fact that wow, there is a little here written to tell us what to do technically, what we need to do. And one of them is the left hand with the second finger here on this high E. Well, I can't just all of a sudden get there if I haven't made a move to be there with the left hand. So I draw that in. That tells me I need to do something. It's like, let's say we have the two hands here. We got lefty and righty. Okay, so as a director, I say, listen, lefty, when righty is doing his line, go over to the other part of the stage over here. So when I play this, and when you get there, lefty, just go there and go right back down again. Walk across the stage, grab the thing, and walk back. Okay? So, and then the pinky is sitting on that note, so he's all set. He's just, now you're probably wondering, it doesn't say to play it staccato, so I'm going to write that in. Staccato, staccato. There are your staccato marks. Both of those notes are played short. But Jeff, it's all supposed to sound long. Yeah, I know, we're going to get to that. But here's what we need to do for that. And that left hand was on his way back down. Watch it again. Oh, there's no marking there saying that. I better put it in. There we are. Okay, so even though we're not going there yet, that left hand better be learning to come off that key and come on down. That's something we need to do. Watch it again. Okay. Well, actually, I didn't do it as well as I wanted to. want to get that left hand clearly coming down. It's going to go to an E. We could know that too. We could actually play that far maybe. So I'm at least down there on time. The element I'm leaving out right now, okay, one of the elements is the pedal. It's going to be held for the whole thing. So I'll push him down when I hit the first pineapple. And that's what I need to do. Now, some kids who don't see the pedal here are going to try. They're going to try to keep all those notes down with the hands. That's not going to happen. We always strive to never be anywhere. I have a saying, never be anywhere, always be everywhere. And when the hands are here, they're everywhere. When the hands are on the keys, they're somewhere. And they have to be sometimes, but not for as the least amount of time that we have to, okay? And sometimes we have to. So anyway, this is why music gets all marked up. At least you wouldn't know if I've worked on a piece if you don't see all these colors and all this writing. I'll even let kids know sometimes when they're not great readers, 5 on G, 3 on B, 1 on D, and that's, of course, in the middle here near middle C. I want them to play it. They'll learn to read it. Not worried about that. They will learn to read it. But to play it right. Dot it. It's a drop and a roll. That's why I drew the arrows. Both of these guys are hit this way. You hit them and come right off them. They're short notes. I'm drawing one of these, by the way. To me, that's what a staccato looks like. The hand does that. Boom, boom, like that. Okay, so the next measure looks like a carbon copy of this one. It's 3 notes lower. So essentially, the 5 is on an E here now, and we do the same 5, 3, 1, the same drop and roll. I'll draw them in. It. I usually write them that way with the long slur and the staccato. Maybe an accent on the first one so you know those are the louder ones. By the way, the loudest note in these measures is that high note in each one on the third beat. He's longer. That's how he gets enough accent to actually be the loudest one. And the composer, David Karp, he wrote in these crescendo and decrescendo marks. He really almost didn't need to write them. It's the natural tendency for it to get louder and get loud for that loud note on top and then soften up again. So again, we're interested in what we need to do. Now on the next line down here, what we need to do is pretty much the same kind of thing, but when I'm practicing, I notice something. Every one of these went up to a note, just one note higher at the end here, one note higher for that left hand to get up to. Might even write left hand here. 2, left hand 2. But this one goes over. He's not the next step. He's actually a little bit higher. He's a skip. So I write little notes like that for myself. 2, watch out, watch out. It's on the B now. And the right hand also. So you still have that ghost. You still had those ghosts. And you still got one here. And this one again, you're going to have that one. But the right hand here, funny enough, had a little ghost of his own here. He had to go up to the 5 on the A. So even he was a little, for this arrow, the arrows being, of course, each measure in this case. Don't plan on that happening every time. That's not going to happen every time, but it does happen here. So on this arrow, remember, working on small little musical words, find out where they start and end. No problem connecting them right now. Just make sure you're doing everything you need to do to play them correctly. So on this one, I'm going to go over to a higher note. I marked it. I told myself, watch out where the 2 is. I might even write 2 on B. I know this seems like things any teacher you might have had would have said, don't do it. I don't like doing that, obviously, but again, I'm only interested in playing it. Whatever I need to do to play it, I'll do. Kids will get faster at reading notes. They won't have to write most of this stuff most of the time. But when they go home, I want them to know what they need to do down here. And I also make videos of all the pieces. They can watch them on YouTube at half speed. Jeff Baker Piano. That's my channel for that on YouTube. Anyway, so they can watch it at half speed and watch all these ghosts, watch what you need to do going on shots from the side to see the up and down motion, the das and dits. So again, this line is going to be da da dit da da dit da. Now, what we needed to do in those three arrows was the same essential thing. Now we have one that's different. Now we were left here. And then I had to get that left hand down to the two notes here. Now, the two notes here are whole notes. And yes, you could play it. There are about 3 or 4 ways you can arguably play this depending on the piano, depending on the player, his taste. One way to play it is to play it without any pedal and just hold the left hand notes down. I don't just like the sound of it. It sounds too dry. That's my personal opinion. And what I do here so that the pedal doesn't get in the way of these longer notes is, first of all, I play it, of course, observing the louder note, soft, loud, soft. I play them kind of detached, kind of with a little line above each one. I'm striking each one. We talked last night about the drop. I'm dropping and coming right off the note, but it's not a staccato. It's a little longer than a staccato. But I'm getting the finger ready and using my whole arm to play those. I refer to that as a drop. Okay. Now the left hand is going to drop and hold and stay. I don't like the word hold. Well, hold is okay. Push, no. It's going to hit these two notes. It's just going to stay on them. And but when I do it, I have to show you the pedal. I push the pedal down here, up and down here, up and down here, and up and down here, so that when I do these, they get the full advantage of the pedal, the sound you get with the pedal. But I don't have to play it super legato with my hand. Not that I couldn't, I could, but there's no reason to. The pedal as a legato tool is just so good that way. But it does require I do something else. I've got to hold that down or I will lose those two notes. So I have to keep my hand on those. And with the pedal, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I make a nice legato. The left hand stays down. It gets the full advantage of the pedal, the sound with the pedal. So, what have I done on this page? I've written a lot. When my son took lessons, he took with a very good pianist. And he used to come home. His book was filled with pencil and red and yellow highlighter and the whole thing. With the result that he's a pretty good pianist because he learned how to do it. What do you have to do down here? And there are things sometimes that are very difficult. You've got to find the length of it, find out where that difficulty is. Tomorrow night, we'll take a look at a deeper piece, and I will also show you things that are very easy in terms of dot, dit, and dot, and the combination of all those things. But because of the possibility of requiring wrist rotations, we haven't discussed them yet, I know. I've shown you one or two. And thrusts and a true staccato and distance, some things that are very simple in terms of dot and dit require some practice. I just learned, believe it or not, I never actually learned Clair de Lune by Debussy. And I gave it to a student and I said, I'm not going to give them this piece unless I play it. I play it really well because I've got to negotiate all of the possible pitfalls. And there were a couple of spots I had to work on pretty slowly because they were not a habit for my hand. And every new piece is going to have a new habit in it. And you have to know how to deal with it. People sit and they want to play the notes. That is not piano playing. Piano playing is the strategy and the choreography of what's going on down here. And we all have to learn that. Everybody has to learn that. Little kids, the simplest little thing, they can be playing it wrong. I wrote this piece called "A Hop and a what was it again? A Step and a Skip." That was it, and that's what it did. It had a step and a skip, and I've never seen people struggle as much over getting that sound and that physical motion. Of course, I've been playing for years, and I thought it would be an easy thing to kind of do, but they had so much trouble with those little dot-its. And then at the end, you have the pedal with the short note. And it was when I wrote that about 20 years ago that I realized that you can show people notes, but if you don't show them how they're going to play them, they're going to come up with all kinds of things. This is a typical example of what I hear a lot. They've got the rhythm wrong. They have the da ditch wrong. They have the accents all wrong, but they are using the right fingers and they are playing the right notes. You see, there's the problem. The problem is they're not approaching it as what they need to do. And as I said, the rhythm tells them 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, that's your count, the loud, the soft. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to come off those keys. That's a natural dotted. And I even wrote it in dot dit, where they don't very often. So I guess the point of this whole thing was that you're learning the choreography, not the notes. The notes are part of it. It's like places on the stage. You have to be with your actors. But it's the ultimate motion and becoming comfortable with that motion. And then it becomes a habit. And then the piece becomes comfortable. And you can think about getting louder there, slower here, and all that stuff, all the acting, all the drama, without suffering over, I got to read the next note now. So anyway, this was my second try at getting this thing right. The sound was terrible on my first take. And I said, you know what, Chef, let's do it again. So anyway, like I always say, when words fail, music speaks. I'll see you tomorrow.